lesson, the aim is to learn about how to balance accounts properly and extract figures for the financial statements. In this course, you've learned about two key financial statements that are prepared at the end of an accounting period. The statement of financial position lists the business's assets, items that have a cash value, and liabilities, the business's debts. The liabilities, which include equity or capital, are credit records showing what has been entrusted to the business. The assets section shows where it is in the business, and these are debit records. The statement of profit or loss is used to calculate whether the business is profitable or not. The income accounts are credit records and expense accounts are debit records. There is an account in the double entry bookkeeping system for everything listed in these financial statements. The statement of profit or loss covers a period of time, for example, what's been earned and spent during the last year, and the statement of financial position shows what the asset and liability balances are on the day that it is prepared. We use the mnemonic DEADCLIC to help us use these accounts in the right way. The accounts we've been using are listed, but there are many other accounts in a business's double entry bookkeeping system. Throughout your career, you'll encounter accounts you've not used before, and that's why it's important for you to be able to classify them correctly. Now we'll look at how a debit and credit account is balanced and how the balance is extracted and entered into the relevant financial statement. The statement of financial position is dated the day it is prepared. This tells a manager that on the 31st of January 21, the business's vehicles cost £15,000. The amount has been taken from the vehicles account. The opening balance on account is dated on the first day of an accounting period. An opening balance is written as balance brought down or balance brought forward rather than opening balance. We'll see why in a moment. In a manual bookkeeping system, a business may balance its accounts at the end of every day, week or month. It depends on the volume of transactions. Let's read this account before we look at how to balance it. The opening balance tells us that the business's vehicles cost £15,000. On the 8th of February, the business sells the vehicle and it's removed from the account. 2 new vehicles are purchased on the 10th and the 15th of February. What's the balance on this account? Pause the video and give this some careful thought before you move on. The account balance is calculated by adding up the debit entries and deducting the credit entry to give a balance of £54,000. The reason for asking you to do this is because sometimes logic goes out of the window when people start to learn to balance accounts in the proper way. Let's look at this account more carefully. The vehicle that the business had at the start of the month was sold, so the account balance is the total of the 2 vehicles left in the account. To close the account at the end of February, we write the balance on the side that has the lowest total to create balance in the account. Then, as a double check, we total each column. Each column total should be the same. If it's not, then an error has been made. This is why it's called balancing an account. We are creating balance in the account. Balance carried down means closing balance. On the 28th of February, the closing balance is £54,000 and it is carried down or carried forward to the next month. Therefore, on the 1st of March, the balance is brought down or brought forward from the previous month as an opening balance for March. The account is now ready for any transactions that happen in March. The statement of financial position is usually prepared at the close of business, so the cost of the business's vehicles is transferred to the statement of financial position on the 28th of February as £54,000. I can't emphasise enough how important it is to think logically about what you're doing. I see all sorts of balancing errors, which often result in the incorrect figure being entered into the statement of financial position. Here, for example, a column total has been written in the wrong place and has been transferred to the statement of financial position. There are some simple checks you can do to check the accuracy of your work. The column totals must agree, they must be the same. The opening and closing balances must be the same and they must be on opposite sides. And finally, an asset account is a debit record, so the opening balance should be on the debit side. Get ready to pause the video to give yourself time to read and answer the question. Let's read the activity in this account before we review how to present the balance properly. The opening balance tells us that prior to March the 1st, the business has spent a total of £500 on advertising. During March, it has received a further 3 invoices. So far, the business has spent £2,000 on advertising. Then, it receives a credit for an error. We can already see that the account balance on this account is £1,750. We write the account balance on the side with the lowest value to create balance in the account and date it the last day of the month. Then we total the 2 columns to show that it balances and transfer the balance to the debit side of the expense account, dating it the first day of the following month. Let's do our good practice checks. The column totals agree. The closing and opening balances are the same and on opposite sides. The opening balance is on the correct side, as advertising is an expense, a debit record with a debit opening balance. The business can prepare a statement of profit or loss that covers any period of time. This one is telling us that so far this year, that's up to the 31st of March, £1,750 has been spent on advertising. So far, we've balanced an asset and expense account, which are both debit records. A credit record is balanced in exactly the same way. If a business earns income from commission, it will record it in a commission received account, an income account with a credit opening balance. This account tells us that £2,000 commission has been received prior to the 1st of February. Then, on the 5th of February, a further £500 was received. For some reason, £50 has been removed from the account, so the total amount received can be calculated as £2,450. The closing balance is entered on the debit side of a credit record, so the opening balance can show correctly as a credit. Get ready to pause the video to give yourself time to read and answer the question. On the 1st of March, the business owed suppliers £9,300. On the 3rd of March, a credit note was received for goods that had been returned, totalling £150. On the 27th of March, suppliers were paid £5,000. The account balance is calculated as £4,150. It's entered on the side of the account with the lowest value. The columns are totalled to ensure that there's balance in the account. The balance is transferred to become an opening balance. It's on the credit side of the account as it's a liability account. At the close of business on the 31st of March, the business owes suppliers £4,150, and this is recorded in the liability section of the statement of financial position if it were to be prepared. A few other things to note that are in a manual bookkeeping system. The next entry is always written on the next available line. We don't leave any gaps to avoid people incorrectly or fraudulently adding things into the account. The column totals are always opposite each other. I hope you've enjoyed learning about how to balance accounts. This was the final lesson, and I truly hope you've benefited from learning about the double entry bookkeeping system with me. If you think this course will benefit others, I'd be most grateful if you could recommend it, and please leave a review. The book which complements this course can be found on Amazon. More books and e-learning courses will be coming soon, including a mobile phone app to help you test your knowledge on the go. I hope to see you again soon.